I'm your host, Patrick, and today on Law Daily, we'll be investigating how athletes are treated differently in the criminal justice system.
I mean, what could go wrong when you give young men millions of dollars, celebrity status, and make them feel like they're above the law?
Today we are going to dive deeper into a very high-profile case, the O.J. Simpson trial, and a relatively unknown case, the Ray Lewis murder investigation. The O.J. Simpson trial is famous for numerous reasons, mainly stemming from the verdict, which was that somehow a stone-cold killer was found innocent of murder. Well, I guess if the glove doesn't fit, you didn't do it. The trial of the century ended October 3rd, 1995, with O.J. being acquitted of both murder charges against his ex-wife and her friend. O.J., however, looked far from innocent. Well, in my opinion, innocent people don't usually run from the cops in a high-speed chase across Los Angeles.
Well, Daniel, are you surprised O.J. got acquitted? He was an American star, icon to many people. I bet the judge was a fan of five-time Pro Bowler O.J. Simpson.
But that doesn't matter because our criminal justice system doesn't treat athletes any differently.
Sure it does.
All joking aside, O.J. was treated much differently than your average 6'1", 215-pound black man. Robert Kardashian, John Cochran, Robert Shapiro, and Lee Bailey and Alan Dershowitz all represented O.J.
That's like the 93 Bulls is your law team.
Not only that, but O.J. requested that the trial be sped up so they could get it over with, and was granted that, forcing both the defense and the Crown to speed up their work and decide on a 12-man jury, which consists mainly of African-American males.
I guess if a famous athlete wants you to speed up his trial, you do it.
Not only that, but O.J. was able to turn himself in. Think about that. A double murder suspect being able to turn himself in.
The case against O.J. was overwhelming. Hair samples, 911 call history, the televised car chase, blood evidence, and O.J.'s overall behavior towards the incident would lead everyone to believe O.J. was guilty. Maybe it was because of his lawyers, who certainly helped him, or the overwhelming black jury, but O.J. got off. And I would have to believe that his pro football resume and his charisma in the media had to have had an effect on a case everyone believed would be a slam dunk for the Crown, had this been your average male. Now on to the Ray Lewis case. For those of you who don't know who Ray Lewis is, he's arguably the best linebacker ever to play in the NFL. Lewis spent 17 years playing in the NFL, a two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, 13-time Pro Bowler, and a 7-time All-Pro. These accomplishments just go on and on.
Guaranteed to have his face forever immortalized in Canton, Ohio, at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This extraordinary case may have never been, it could have been, Ray Lewis, bright NFL star turned convict. Back in January 2000, Ray Lewis and his entourage were attending a Super Bowl party in Atlanta, Georgia. Ray's team, the Baltimore Ravens, did not qualify for the Super Bowl that year, so there, he was just a fan. After the game had concluded, Lewis and his friends were exiting the club when a fight with another group began. The result of a fight ended in two men from the other group, Baker and Richard Lawler, being stabbed to death.
11 days later, Lewis and two friends, Reginald Oakley and Joseph Sweeting, who were originally questioned by the police on the night of, were indicted on murder and aggravated assault charges. It should be noted that the white suit Lewis was wearing on the night of the murders has never been found. Paul Howard, attorney from the prosecution, alleged the blood-stained suit was dumped in a garbage bin outside a nearby fast food restaurant. A knife was found on the scene, but no DNA was found on the knife. Lewis claimed that both Oakley and Lawler had purchased the knife earlier that week at Sports Authority, where Lewis was signing autographs. One of the victims, Jacinth Baker, was found inside Ray Lewis's limo.
2 weeks into the trial, Lewis negotiated a plea agreement with the district attorneys in which murder charges will be dropped in exchange for his testimony against Oakley and Sweeting. He also agreed to plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge of misleading the police in his original statement on the night of. He stated originally that he was not at the fight. The Superior Court judge sentenced Ray Lewis to 12 months probation. The maximum sentence for misdemeanor is 1 year in prison. The 12-month probation was the judge's choice. The NFL also fined Lewis $250,000. The point is that you can see here, Ray Lewis, big-time athlete at the time of the murder, was offered a plea agreement. His friends, who were also involved, were not. Also, Ray Lewis was only given 12-month probation, not the maximum sentence of 1 year in prison for misdemeanor charge. It's sad to say that there are many children out there who only know Ray Lewis as the football player and aspire to be just like him one day.
As you can see as the general public, athletes are clearly favored in the criminal justice system and even recommend a fall guy if you aren't properly behaved. A fall guy is a person that can take the blame if an athlete does not act properly. This is most definitely unfair to the general public as it doesn't give an equal amount of justice to professional athletes. This poses the question, should a person be treated differently in sentencing depending on how much potential the person has?
To overview the O.J. Simpson case, let's take a few key points and try to make sense of it. 1. O.J. was a young black man with a ridiculous amount of potential, loved by a majority of black people when the case was brought up that his wife was Caucasian. It sparked racial tension between the two sides. Point 2. O.J. hired a ridiculously high-profile defense team, known as the Dream Team of lawyers, even though he was trying to prove his innocence over murdering his wife.
You would think it wouldn't be that hard to prove that you didn't murder your wife.
O.J. was responsible for the 2 deaths in a civil lawsuit, although was not jailed, only ordered to pay damages of $33.5 million. 4. Special treatment was especially given when officers allowed O.J. to turn himself in on a specific date, even though he was charged with a double murder.
Here's the man that did not commit murder being arrested. As you can see, O.J. was clearly given special treatment from the state, which is quite scary to be giving to a prime suspect in a murder trial. Now we shift to Mr. Lewis. Ray Lewis was loved by a huge percentage of football fans, widely considered to be the best defensive leader in that football had ever seen. When a person is on a pedestal like this, it causes inequalities in treatment. Ray's crimes should have definitely resulted in a harsh case as he was directly involved. One way or another, although instead his entourage took a large hit, as Ray Lewis was the only person out of his entire group that was granted bail. This occurred for reasons unknown to the public. As Mr. Lewis was free, the prosecution eventually agreed to a plea deal by Lewis's defense group. This to me was extremely unnatural, as you should not have a plea deal in a murder case. It would be unjust to society to allow the killer to be out because of money paid. This would never be accepted for the average male, but it was Mr. Lewis. It was on the borderline of being okay, as many people accepted it.
So we would like to pose some questions to you, the public. Number 1.
Should the athletes, important people, be treated in this judicial system differently depending on their potential, and why?
2. Do you believe the media has a large impact on cases such as the Brock Turner case or the O.J. Simpson case?
Number 3. Is the American justice system fair to all people, as it imposes bails that can be up to millions of dollars? How does this give a criminal athlete an advantage?
It could have been Ray Lewis, bright NFL star, turn con.
That's an
Damn it, it was.
That's an
Damn it, it was.